Computer animation has been around for a while, and it's getting better and better every year. I love what's being done with it. But it is mostly being done like animation, where it's worked in 24 frames a second and the scene is blocked out. And what we're trying to do with it is perform it live like a puppet, so you can capture real performance, a dramatic performance.
Maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, when you come forward, don't you hate it when your nose runs? Where do you do that?
Yeah.
Don't you hate it when your nose runs? Can you do that?
Don't you hate it when your nose runs? Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
All right. Looking at 3/4 speed. Sparkler!
Oh, this way, right there. That was fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to apologize for a slight technical difficulty. I do wish to assure you that no one's been hurt and there's been only very slight damage to the theater. Thank you very much for coming to see this demonstration of Muppet Vision technology. So enjoy the rest of your stay and please come see us again.
Hey, you can close the curtain now. What a cute ending.
It was terrible.
It was terrible? What did they do wrong?
Oh, it's just the performance, the truck, everything was awful.
See, that's as good as we do.
Oh.
3D, it's an interesting process, and I have not worked in it before, but I really am enjoying it. We looked at a lot of 3D films to try to see what works, and when we originally set up to do this, what we wanted to do was try to figure out all the 3D gimmicks that you can do and then figure out a way to put them all into one short film. I considered shooting a Muppet movie in 3D a couple of years ago, and at that time I looked at all the processes. First of all, I realized that this process that Disney uses is the best one. I think this gives you the best 3D that's done. But the other thing I found was that I don't want to see a whole movie in 3D. You know, when you sit in an audience and you put on the glasses, all you want is the effects that can happen. And so it's ideal for a short film, and I think it's not particularly good to do a feature in the stuff. You know? Well, we're designing effects that will happen in the theater also. And so, yes, we're working out a way to include bubbles in the theater, and we're sprinkling the audience with water at some point, and then we're doing, hopefully, wind and lights. And so there are a lot of different kinds of things where this thing is woven between the film itself and the effects around. You know, they're talking to Statler and Waldorf, there'll be animatronic on the side, Sweetums walks out into the audience. So there's a lot of planning in that sense. From a 3D standpoint, it's interesting because what you do is you plan where the surface of the screen is supposed to be so that anything that pokes out at the audience, it's called the convergence there where the screen is. And so we plan that very carefully for a shot. And when things poke out at the audience, that's fun. This is good 3D. And also at the same time, we're shooting with two cameras. In order to make this effect of something poking out at you effective, we widen the two eyes, right at that point. So we widen the eyes and we go back together again. And I don't think anybody's ever done this before in a 3D film. It's a new development that this camera makes possible.
It's working.
Oh, yes, very much so. We're working, because we're working with the Disney people in producing the film, and at the same time we're also working with the Imagineering guys that are designing the theater and the special effects within the theater. So everybody has to be involved from the very beginning. We all have to realize what each other is doing. So it's working very nicely. Yeah, I think that's all true. Sometimes, I love working with my team of people that I've worked with for many years because I act more like a shepherd than a director. You just kind of point them all in the right direction, and they discover stuff. And very often we were doing a setup yesterday, and I really didn't know how this was going to work. And just by starting rehearsing it, and the whole shape of the shot grew because they all contribute to it. So it's a lot of talent all coming together and focusing on this moment and making it better and better. I just kind of lead the group along, you know, but they get to be funny, you know, because computer animation has been around for a while, and it's getting better and better every year. I love what's being done with it, but it is mostly being done like animation, where it's worked in 24 frames a second and the scene is blocked out. And what we're trying to do with it is perform it live like a puppet, so you can capture real performance, a dramatic performance, and because the idea of animation, 24 frames a second, is a very kind of, it's a thought process, it's a head trip, where a performance is more from your guts. And so what we're trying to do is, I think, by performing it in real time, you get a more real performance in terms of the character.